1. Erin Patterson found guilty. Australia's deadly mushroom murder case explained. 2. Erin Patterson found guilty in mushroom murder trial. 1. Erin Patterson found guilty. Australia's deadly mushroom murder case explained. In a shocking turn of events, Erin Patterson has been convicted of all charges in a high-profile mushroom poisoning trial that has captivated Australia and beyond. After an arduous 9-week trial, the jury has rendered a verdict of guilty, affirming that Patterson deliberately murdered 3 of her relatives and attempted to murder another during a seemingly innocent family gathering in July 2023. During this fatal lunch, held at her home in Leongatha, Victoria, the 50-year-old served up beef Wellington that tragically contained deadly deathcap mushrooms, a highly toxic fungal variety. This ill-fated meal resulted in the immediate deaths of her in-laws, Don and Gail Patterson, alongside Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, with Heather's husband, Ian, narrowly escaping with his life after weeks in a coma. The prosecution's case painted a stark picture of intent, alleging that Patterson was fully aware that the mushrooms she added to the dish were toxic and that she took steps to destroy crucial evidence after the incident. Interestingly, they conceded that Patterson lacked a clear motive for her actions, an argument that played a pivotal role in her defense. Conversely, Patterson contended that she had inadvertently included the poisonous mushrooms in her cooking, claiming panic as the driving factor behind her alleged lies to the authorities. Upon the verdict's announcement, Victoria Police expressed gratitude to the dedicated team involved in the investigation, emphasizing the need to respect the privacy of the victims' families during this difficult time. Community members, still reeling from the emotional weight of the tragedy, shared hopes that the ruling would bring a sense of closure and justice to those impacted. And here's where it gets particularly contentious. While Patterson prepares to face sentencing, now pending proposals from both the prosecution and defense, she retains the right to appeal her conviction within 28 days. How do you feel about the potential for an appeal? Given the complexities surrounding the case, do you think justice has truly been served? The courtroom drama revealed compelling evidence, including unsettling footage of Patterson's discharge from the hospital and leftover Wellington that tested positive for toxins. Images showing the remnants of her family meal and a food dehydrator hiding incriminating evidence only deepened the intrigue surrounding this tragic incident. Moreover, the defense hinged on compelling but ultimately unconvincing arguments, including the notion of a lack of motive, which they insisted must absolve Patterson of any wrongful intent. However, the jury found more credibility in the prosecution's narrative of a calculated act masked as an accident. It's essential to understand what the deadly deathcap mushroom truly is. Recognized as the most lethal mushroom species globally, even small amounts can imperil life, and cooking, drying, or freezing cannot neutralize its toxins. As new details continue to emerge, the community remains enveloped in questions and theories regarding Patterson's motives and actions. What does this tragedy reveal about the darker aspects of family dynamics and trust? Do you think the absence of a clear motive complicates the case, or does it serve to highlight the unpredictable nature of human behavior? As we navigate through the legal proceedings, the anticipation around Patterson's sentencing grows. What will be the next steps for Erin Patterson, and how will this harrowing case resonate within the community and legal systems for years to come? This sensational trial is far from over, and the future holds many questions. 2. Erin Patterson found guilty in mushroom murder trial. In the end, after all the shouting and speculation, the verdict that captivated a nation landed in profound, chilling silence. For 2.5 months, a storm of media attention had swirled around the mushroom murder trial. More than 50 witnesses had taken the stand, their testimonies fueling a frenzy that saw journalists literally sprinting through the streets of Morwell to catch the final act. But inside Courtroom 4 of the Latrobe Valley Law Courts, a 2-hour drive from Melbourne, the atmosphere on Monday afternoon was anything but chaotic. At 2:15 p.m., the room was packed to capacity, humming with a tension so thick you could feel it. Supreme Court Justice Christopher Beale, who had meticulously guided the trial, requested silence for the hearing. His words were almost unnecessary, the air was so still you could have heard a pin drop. Before the jury's entrance, the accused, Erin Patterson, sat flanked by 2 security guards. With her eyes closed, her chest rose and fell in slow, measured breaths, a picture of calm amidst the storm. But here's the moment everything shifted. As the doors swung open and the jury filed in, her eyes snapped open, locking onto them with an unmoving, focused intensity. One by one, the clerk read the charges and the jury's findings. First, Patterson was found guilty of the attempted murder of Pastor Ian Wilkinson. He was the sole survivor of a fateful lunch at Patterson's home on July 29, 2023, where he consumed a beef Wellington that prosecutors proved was laced with deadly deathcap mushrooms. The pastor endured a harrowing 7 weeks in the hospital, fighting for his life. During the trial, he provided a crucial piece of testimony. The plates used to serve him and the other 3 guests were a different color than the one Patterson herself used. This is a point that sparked intense debate throughout the trial, as the defense vehemently disputed his account. The implication, of course, was that this wasn't a tragic accident but a deliberate, calculated act of poisoning. Next, the murder verdicts were delivered. Guilty of the murder of Heather Wilkinson, the pastor's wife and the aunt of Patterson's estranged husband, Simon. Guilty of the murder of Gail Patterson, Simon's mother. Guilty of the murder of Donald Patterson, Simon's father. With each pronouncement from the jury of 7 men and 5 women, Erin Patterson stared directly at them. She didn't flinch. Her expression remained a complete blank, a stark contrast to the emotional outbursts she had been prone to during her week in the witness box. This time, there were no tears. And this is the part most people miss, the human element, or lack thereof, in the room. Not a single member of the Patterson or Wilkinson families was present to witness the conclusion. The only sign of emotion came from a lone friend of Erin Patterson, who sat quietly wiping tears from her eyes. The verdict's arrival was a shock to the system for the media contingent. At 1:38 p.m., an email from the court landed in their inboxes, announcing the jury had reached a decision. Most reporters, accustomed to the jury's daily lunch break, were caught off guard. They abandoned half-eaten meals in cafes across the city, frantically calling their editors as they raced back to the courthouse. Outside, a veritable media circus had set up camp during the jury's deliberation. Shade tents, folding chairs, and carts overflowing with cables and tripods created a small village on the courthouse steps, home to nearly 100 reporters, photographers, podcasters, and even documentary screenwriters, all hungry for the final chapter. Only a handful managed to squeeze into the courtroom for the verdict itself. 4 days, since the jury retired to deliberate on June 30, the town of Morwell had been caught in a strange limbo of suspense and boredom. Lawyers for both sides were spotted around town, out of their robes, waiting just like everyone else. The anticipation was so palpable that a local cafe near the court reported a record day of sales on July 1, the day after Justice Beale concluded his 365-page instructions to the jury. He had stressed the need for a unanimous verdict and sequestered them, essentially locking them up in a hotel, transported to and from the court each day until they reached their decision. When they finally emerged, their unanimous decision was delivered not with a bang, but with that deafening silence. There was no courtroom drama, no final outcry. Just the quiet, unreadable face of a convicted murderer and the immense, unspoken weight of the 3 lives that were so tragically taken. This brings us to the most haunting question of all. Patterson's composure in that final moment is open to interpretation. Was it the stoic resolve of a woman maintaining her innocence against a guilty verdict, or the chilling self-control of a calculated killer whose elaborate act had finally reached its conclusion? What do you believe her silence and lack of emotion truly signified? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below.